Are you a 1 or are you a 0? Christian Slater asks Remy Malek just that question.
If you stay, you want to change the world, you become a yes, you become a 1. So I'll ask you again, are you a 1 or a 0?
So let me ask you again, are you a 1 or are you a 0? Let's find out as we explore the tension between human compassion and economic dispassion, and how these collide with the choice to be consequential or superficial. Let's begin. Human compassion is the deep moral instinct to care for others, to alleviate suffering, respond to need, and reach out when we see pain, whether that pain is physical, emotional, or spiritual. It's the force that binds community, fuels justice, and drives us to act. Economic dispassion is just as powerful. It's a logical approach that prioritizes efficiency, effectiveness, and results. It doesn't ask what feels right. It asks what works. When these two forces are in balance, they create a world that is both just and sustainable. A world where compassion has direction and dispassion has a conscience. But at their extremes, they can be very dangerous. Unrestrained compassion, no matter how well-intentioned, can lead to collapse. Because resources, time, and human energy are finite. A society that gives endlessly, without limits, eventually will have nothing left to give. Pure economic dispassion, where only profit or efficiency matter, reduces people to numbers. It strips away dignity, leaving behind a world optimized for profit, but devoid of purpose. And here is the truth we so often ignore. The lathe of heaven is a myth. No matter how beautifully we dream, no matter how noble our ideals, reality always pushes back. There is no machine that will turn every vision into utopia. Compassion is always constrained by time, and resources are clearly finite. Trade-offs are unavoidable. So the question is not whether you dream, it's whether you have the wisdom to shape your dreams within the limits of what's possible. In part 1, we explored the balance between compassion and dispassion. Now let's ask a deeper question. Do your actions create real change or just the illusion of change? A consequential person doesn't just act. They create lasting, systemic change. It's not about how something looks or feels in the moment. It's about whether it actually makes a difference. Superficial actions, on the other hand, look good, but accomplish little. They offer the illusion of progress. They make us feel like we've contributed without having to address the root problem. In short, consequential actions solve problems at the source. Superficial actions treat symptoms, not causes. And that's where Lao Tzu's wisdom becomes more than a proverb. It becomes a blueprint. The Chinese philosopher once said, "Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him to fish and you feed him for a lifetime." At first glance, both acts seem compassionate, but only one creates lasting change. Why? Because consequence isn't free. To lead someone towards real change, you must, first, be directive. Show them the path, teach the skill. Then, step onto the sidelines, coach. Let them try, struggle, and return with questions. Be supportive when they fail, because true change includes failure. And finally, celebrate when they teach someone else, because true consequence ripples outward. Most people choose superficial actions because they're quick, easy, and feel good. But if you want to truly be consequential, you must be willing to commit. So ask yourself, are you just giving out fish, or are you teaching people to fish? Let's look at each quadrant. In the upper left, we have the compassionate, consequential group. They give and give until they burn out. Eventually, demand outstrips supply. They exhaust their time, money, and energy. Their mission fades. Their allies fall away. In the upper right, we have those that are dispassionate, consequential thinkers. They drive economic transformation, but at a high human cost. Yes, results are achieved, but the moral backlash destroys trust, brand, and legitimacy. They collapse inward into self-interest. In the lower left, we find the superficially compassionate. The virtue signalers are here. They're willing to be visible for a cause so long as it costs them nothing. They wear pins. They post hashtags. They raise a fist, just long enough to be in a photo. They tag emojis and emblems next to their name, then do nothing else. Worse, they complain, failing to realize that our misery is going viral. It spreads. It infects. And in the lower right, lurking beneath all of this are the minus ones. They are a virus. They dwell in the abyss of apathy. They don't care. They don't act unless it benefits themselves. They seduce the zeros with the simpler path. Don't care. Don't act. Just take. And the zeros begin to follow. Because apathy is easy. Because selfishness is contagious. Let me give you an example. We all shop online, and one of the great features is easy returns. Buy clothing in 3 sizes, keep one that fits, and return the others. Most online stores accept returns, no questions asked. Just choose a reason, even if it's false, because no one's going to check on you. And where do those returns go? Landfills, often in developing countries. Recycling is labor intensive. When companies are forced to recycle, prices go up, margins shrink, and systems strain. But if the minus ones don't care, then what kind of fool are you if you're following the rules? This is a modern-day tragedy of the commons. And every great society in history has fallen because the minus ones pulled everyone else into the abyss. So, when everyone around you is a zero, when the abyss is pulling you in, how can you possibly become a one? What if real solutions happen when we combine the two? Caring enough to act and thinking clearly enough to make the action count. Take food deserts, a real-world example of this intersection. Millions of people in low-income communities live without access to fresh, healthy food. No grocery stores, no healthy options, just fast food and corner stores. Compassion says, no one should live like this. But if you stop there, nothing changes. This is where dispassionate logic steps in. Hospitals realize poor nutrition causes chronic illness, and treating those illnesses is far more expensive than fixing the root cause. So some healthcare institutions act. They open on-site markets. They partner with farms. They launch food prescription programs. Why? Because feeding people well costs less than fixing them later. This is compassion married to strategy. Heart and head, care and calculation. So here's your challenge. When you act, ask yourself, am I aiming for real change or just making myself feel better? When you evaluate a solution, ask, does this balance care for people with the realities of the world? And most of all, am I willing to live in that difficult space between where compassion meets dispassion and superficiality is just not an option? Because if you can live there, if you can bring heart and mind together, then you no longer have to choose between what feels good and what works. You can be part of the world that cares enough to act and acts smart enough to truly care. You can be a one.
You again. Are you a 1 or a 0?
Please like and subscribe. If you would like to support the channel, buy us a cup of coffee. See the link below in the description. And as always, thank you for watching.